What is good, Guardians? Welcome to another Destiny 2 video from Ultimate Casual Gaming, the home for the casual gamer. I'm just flexing, the Ultimate Casual, and in this video, we're going to discuss how best to level up your character to 305 power. We'll discuss the different stages of the leveling up process, and I'll give you some tips on how to do it most effectively. While I'm not quite to power level 305 myself, I have reached level 300 on my Warlock and 299 on my Titan. Of course, I'm also in the process of leveling up my Hunter and should have him close to 290 in a few days. The process of leveling up can be as grindy as you want to make it, but just know that there are more effective ways than others to do it, especially when you're taking the time to level up multiple characters. As always, if you find the information in this video useful, a like is truly appreciated. Now, let's go ahead and get into the video. First, let me just say I took my time before doing this video because most casuals out there aren't on the path that many hardcore players take. It just simply isn't realistic. Now, don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean the tips they offer aren't valid. It just means that most players will acknowledge that the most important factor in all of this is time spent playing the game. I know this to be the case, and many would count me among the hardcore, but I'm always feeling that I'm not quite in that camp. Since I've started playing Destiny, I've never been one to rush to get to max level, just so I can get into the raid in the first week, compete for things like World's First for the raid. That's never been my aspiration, and I've come to realize that even with Bungie's best intentions, there will come a point where the endgame becomes a bit repetitive and boring if you rush through it. For those that have taken their time, I commend you. You will get the max level eventually, trust me. Just make sure you enjoy the journey. Now, with that said, let's talk about my thoughts on leveling up effectively. I've broken up the path to max power into 3 phases. I think these phases are distinct enough that most of you will recognize them and agree that there are different strategies to leveling up in each of them. Now let's talk about phase 1. In phase 1, this is simply your initial journey through the campaign and leveling up to level 20. The two of these are linked, but they can be mutually exclusive. By that I mean, you can get to level 20 without completing the campaign. While that is certainly possible, I'm going to recommend to you that you complete the campaign and you do it in a timely manner. And here's why. There are so many things that unlock for you once the campaign is complete, and will only unlock at that point. In fact, most of the endgame activities will only be available to you once you complete the campaign. So go do that. Just go get it done. When it's done, you should be somewhere around power level of 200 or greater. But here's the tips. There will be a point somewhere around level 15 that you won't be able to advance without doing some side activities, public events, and so forth to get that XP that you need to move forward with the campaign. At this point, I'd go ahead and level up as much as you can, at least until you feel like you're no longer grinding. On both of the characters I've leveled up so far, I've gone ahead and reached level 20 at this point. This will allow you to start getting better armor and weapon drops sooner and leveling up your power much faster before you even finish the campaign. And this is going to be helpful to you when you start at phase 2, the post-campaign phase. Post-campaign phase is power levels 200 to 265. Now this next phase is pretty straightforward as well. You've completed the campaign and there will be a boatload of activities to complete and milestones to achieve. As you did during the campaign, you can spend your time doing things like lost sectors, adventures, public events. But now you can do strikes, you can do crucible, you've got some new side missions, some exotic quests even. All these things will get you plenty of loot and help you level up at a fairly steady pace. But this is where your time and energy come into play. If you're willing to put in lots of time grinding all these things, you'll advance to level 265 pretty quickly. The blue engrams will be plentiful, and you'll also have opportunities to earn reputation from the NPCs you've encountered at the various locations along the journey. Folks like Devrim K, Ashamir, Failsafe, and Sloan. Those folks will give you reputation that you can then turn in for legendary engrams, and that will give you even better gear. And if you really like to farm public events, I'd recommend you do so at this point. They're really fast to do, and if you're running with a group of friends that know what they're doing, you can make every one of them a heroic event. Now, if you don't know how to make them all heroic, make sure you watch my video on how to make all 8 types of public events heroic, because you want to do this every time to ensure you get the most and best gear possible. Now, Once you reach level 260, the blue engrams will start to cap out for a while, at least until you reach a higher power level. More on that in a bit. Additionally, the legendary engrams will cap out at about 265 for a while. Again, they will start to go up once you reach higher power levels. It's important to go ahead and turn them in to the Cryptarch because the value of them is locked from the time they drop, not when you decide to go decrypt them. I learned this the hard way and turned in legendaries way too late, often getting gear with power levels 10 to 20 points lower than where I was at the point that I decrypted them. So turn them in, folks. It really doesn't make any sense to hold on to them. Now here's some key tips. The most important thing to remember is what not to do during this phase. Specifically, you want to refrain from doing any of the weekly milestone activities. These are activities that show up on the left side of the screen, when you pull up your milestones tab from the director. Activities such as the Nightfall, Crucible's Call to Arms, Cade's Flashpoint, even your clan XP reward that you get for reaching 5,000 XP for the week. It's important to note that if you do these activities, you do not go and get the engrams. So even if you do them, just don't go and get the engrams. The values of these do change based on when you decide to go collect them. So they're a little different from the engrams that I talked about earlier, the legendary engrams, where the value of them is locked from the point that they drop. These will go up as your power level goes up. So you also don't want to finish the quest lines from the stories on the planets that you've gone and started, because you wanted to wait until after 265 as well for those, because again, the loot will drop at a higher level. Now you can do some of the missions which often have several steps, just don't complete them. This gets us to phase 3, which is really power level 265 to 305. This is the point where things are going to slow down considerably, and as I mentioned before, this is the point where engrams will now decrypt in stages. At least that's the best way I can put it. Many thought that engrams will be stuck at 260 for blues and 265 for purples, all the way up till you reach 305, but that's actually not the case. I started to notice that as my power level increased, the power levels on the engrams also increase, just a lot slower. Now it's been hypothesized that this is due to them actually not being capped at all, and in fact being due to the slow nature that the base power level rises at this point. The stages seem to be in levels of 10 to 15, but the bottom line is I'm at level 300 now, and my rare and legendary loot now drops at power level 290. The fact is, most people start to see big jumps in power level in phase 3 because they begin to equip legendary mods to their weapons and their armor. And in some cases, you can even get lucky and have the weapons drop with them, or your armor. The mods are important because they increase your overall power level and allow your luminous engrams or powerful gear to drop at higher power levels. You see, those drops are so important because those types of engrams are the only ones that are based on your overall light level. All of your other rewards from doing other activities, like I mentioned earlier, are based on earning reputation, for example, and those things decrypt based on your base power level. That is, the power level that you would have if you had no mods equipped. And again, mods are very important. Now I'm going to be doing a more detailed look into mods in another video soon, so look out for that. Now, as your actual base power level increases, so will the value of your blue and purple engrams. So this is the phase where you want to get all of those milestones done every week for every character you have. Now more on multiple characters too in a second, but get all of the powerful gear rewards and you'll get yourself to 280 in no time. Power level 280 is really important because that is the point where you can go and turn your rare mods into legendary versions. Now you need about 3 of each rare mod to turn into 1 legendary. But the legendary versions are important because they will give you your weapons and your armor pieces an additional power level of 5. Now if you don't have a legendary mod on every piece of armor or weapon, now's the time to do it. You also want to add them to your favorite weapons so you can use them in game, and all your exotic weapons typically, well, they for certain will come with a legendary mod already equipped. So be careful. Mods do not carry over when you infuse. Now by that I mean, if you have a level 280 weapon, for example, that has a legendary mod already on it, then that weapon is actually a 275 base power with a +5 mod. Now if the weapon you're infusing that into does not also have a +5 mod on it, then what you'll see is once you infuse it, the power level of that weapon will be 275. Again, more to come on mods in a future video. Now finally, phase 3 is where your in-game activities kick in. Things like Trials of the Nine and the Leviathan Raid play a huge role here. These activities will have gear in them that will go a long way to helping you level up to level 305. So you certainly want to do those once you're ready. Now I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the value of exotics in this video. It was initially believed that this would be the only viable way to increase your power level after 265 and you've done all your weekly milestone activities, unless you were going to be grinding the raid and trials. Exotics are certainly one of your best ways to increase your light, because they're always going to drop considerably higher than your current light level. I'd also recommend that you use fire team medallions when you're running with friends to increase your loot chances when you're running activities. I suspect, although I haven't gotten confirmation on this, that when you do have your medallion active, you're also going to get better loot, and hopefully exotic engrams will also drop at a higher rate. Now the final thing I'm going to mention is the value of leveling additional characters. Destiny veterans know that having additional characters is always a good thing and will allow you to accumulate more loot and power level quicker. Now it's important to note, however, that Bungie has confirmed that the advantages to leveling up your power by having multiple characters of the same class are no longer present in Destiny 2. In particular, your powerful gear reward engrams will not level up the same way they do if you do have multiple characters of the same class. Look, the bottom line is, if you're interested in leveling up faster, your best bet now is to actually have one character of each class. Now, while you can't share armor among classes, you can certainly share weapons, and this is vital to helping you level up your second and third classes very, very quickly. Once those characters reach level 20, immediately give them the best guns you have and begin to run activities. They will get armor drops soon after that will help them level up at a lightning pace. Once all of your characters are near one another in power level, you'll be able to share weapons and manage your power level that way. It's extremely helpful to accumulating glimmer and legendary marks as well. So, if you haven't yet, and you do have the time, I would strongly recommend you make yourself a second or even a third character. So in summary, you want to maximize your efforts in each phase of your path to 305. Phase 1, complete the campaign and get to level 20 as quickly as you're able. Phase 2, do all of the various activities available to you, especially public events, but stay away from weekly milestone activities and exotic quests until you reach Phase 3. In Phase 3, you want to complete as many of those weekly milestones as you can to earn your powerful gear. And at this point, you also want to participate in things like Trials of the Nine and the Leviathan Raid if you're ready. Also, finish up any exotic quest lines as late as you can to ensure you get the highest level drops you can get. Finally, level up multiple characters if you're up to it, as this will definitely help you level up quicker. Remember, have different classes each time you create a character to ensure maximum efficiency. And that brings us to the end of our guide on leveling up your power in Destiny 2. I hope you found the content helpful and certainly appreciate you watching. If you did find the video informative, a like is certainly appreciated and helps us out. Of course, if you want more content on Destiny 2, remember to hit that subscribe button and click on the bell next to it to get notifications when we post new videos. That's all for now. A sincere thanks to all you gamers out there, both casual and hardcore. Let's go and get our game on.